My process for writing plays, really, it can be sparked by anything, the initial idea. I mean, in general, I deal with issues of race and class, societal structures, uh, really the pursuit of love, not necessarily romantic, although it can be that within certain characters in certain pieces, but just in general. How do we treat each other right? Why do we feel the way we feel? How do we arrive at our conclusions? How do we change? How do we grow? How do we not? And why? So I could be watching, some cable news, or I could be on the street taking a walk, and the bus drives by with an ad for something, and it sparks an idea. Usually, for me, dialogue is first. Like a character would just start talking to me. I'll have an idea in my mind of things that I usually talk about, and then some character would just say, "Hey, blah 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 blah," and I write that down, and then another character will say, "Blah blah 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 blah," and then we're off and running. After that initial bolt of energy, then I'm like, okay, let me start to shape this. What are these characters? What is this story actually about? And from that point, I'll go back and start new and go forward until I have a draft. And this is Khari Wyatt, Playwright. If you'd like to learn more about my play and the other zip code plays that my piece is a part of, and support Antaeus Theater Company, watch this video. I think they chose podcasts right now because that's kind of the latest zeitgeist. Like a lot of places are doing audio plays, and I think it was a way for Antaeus to incorporate actors and directors and use a different form than people have been used to previously. And for me, I loved it. Actually, it was always a dream of mine to have an audio play. When I was growing up as a kid, I used to go to books. When I would go to bookstores and buy books, certain bookstores also sold tapes of old time radio shows. And I used to buy those and listen to them. I'd go home and I'd wait till the night, and I would turn off all the lights and put this tape in my boom box, and I would listen to this this audio play from 1945 or 1948 or 1955, The Shadow and Suspense Theater and all those types of things, Jack Benny. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is awesome because it sparks so much imagination in the listener. What are they wearing? What do they look like? How tall is that guy? What does that woman really look like? What kind of car is that drove that you heard the horn honk? What's actually happening in the city? What's that block look like? What's that house look like? So it really, even though you're getting a story and you're getting a beginning, middle, and end, and you have all the sound effects and whatever music cues are involved, it really, in an easy way, makes the listener a part of the story. You're in that club. You're in that house when that burglar comes. You are next to that ghost who is next to the guy who you're listening to. You're in that field when the aliens are coming down. So it makes the listener a part of the story. You're an actor in that story. Your imagination is drawing you into that story, and it's because it's just voices and effects. So it was always a dream of mine. So when I got selected, I was overjoyed because I had been thinking actually doing on my own and fund it. And lo and behold, this opportunity came. And so thank God. The idea came originally, Kitty Swink and Bill Brochtrup, the artistic directors of the Antaeus, put out a call to the Playwrights Lab that they were going to be doing audio plays based around zip codes in Los Angeles. And the idea basically was to give people slices of different areas of the city, slices of life from different areas of the city. And I chose for my pitch, South Central Los Angeles, predominantly black area of town, black, brown area of town. I felt like that was a place I would like to focus my story. And so I submitted the pitch by the deadline, which was this past summer in July. And I was blessed to be selected. And from there, the idea basically came about because I read a book by Donald Bogle, who's a historian, film and television historian, black man. called Bright Boulevard, Bold Dreams. And the book basically encapsulated the history of Black Hollywood from the 1920s up until like the late 1950s, and all the people in and around Black Hollywood, and all the businesses and business owners and things such as that in this section of Central Avenue around the Dunbar Hotel specifically, which was like the hub of Black life in Los Angeles, up through about the late 40s, in the early 50s until integration happened. And then people started to, drift to other parts of the city to live, to go to clubs on Sunset Strip and other places in Los Angeles, which kind of killed the community. A lot of businesses closed down and things just changed. People moved out of the neighborhood. Things went downhill. Crime got raised up by that. And so I thought of that book and I'm like, you know what? Let me talk about people of that time period, the late 50s, when things had changed, and just give people a slice of life of a few characters from this neighborhood. And so that's where the idea came from originally, out of that book, and wanting to incorporate that area of the city and incorporate also a little bit of history, not just of that area, but of America in that time period. It's about a Black man who wants to be an author, who went to Paris and returns from Paris after a year and a half, and finds the wife that he left is not the same woman that he left behind. And so that's the crux of it. And what happens when he returns and finds that his wife is different, has changed, has been changed by what's going on in America, and her reaction to how he has changed from actually pursuing his dream somewhere else without her, and then returning into the mix. I would love for the audience to get out of the play a sense of the time, the late 1950s, in this particular community, how things changed in the broad sense, how individuals could have been affected in another sense because of the racism of the time, because of the roadblocks to opportunities, to dreams, and also historical context for what's going on in America in a broader sense. Without giving away too much, part of what's going on in the play is related to the Montgomery bus boycott in Alabama. And there's a plot point that deals with what's happening in South Central and its relation to the Montgomery bus boycott in Alabama. So I want people to get a sense of the time and space, the racial climate, the social climate through these individual characters, and how much is relatable to what's going on today. Unfortunately, although a lot of things have gotten better, the undergird of racism has remained. And now it seems like we're going a little bit, not even a little bit, we're going backwards. And now it's become suitable again for the racists to be loud about it. And we have someone in the White House who's supposedly supposed to be the leader of America, who purposely, I believe he is a white nationalist, and this is why he does what he does. But at the very least, Khari wants to curry favor with white nationalism because they support him. And because they support him, he doesn't want to do anything or say anything against that. I think that he doesn't say anything against it because he is that. As the Department of Justice lawsuit against him and his father for housing discrimination all the way back in the 70s attests. So that's what I want people to get out of it. How things, the climate of the times, and how it's relatable to today. The other playwrights, I've known them through the Playwrights Lab, so I know how extremely talented they are. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how they handle the subject matter in their plays. Angela J. Davis, Nana Agrawal, Deb Height, Alex Goldberg, and Steve Surpass. And their zip codes run the gamut from Santa Monica Sun Valley, Pacific Palisades, downtown Los Angeles, and Westwood. And there are various. Some are magical realism, some are historical, and I'm really looking forward to see how they handled those stories. I don't want to give away their stuff, but I just wanted to mention them because there's some besides my play, there's 5 other great plays that are coming to you. I would love for the audience to come and find my play and the other Zip Code plays, because what you're going to get is a diverse group of voices in age, ethnicity, talking about various characters specific to the zip codes that they deal with and the areas of town that they deal with in Los Angeles. And if you're an Angeleno, some things are going to be familiar. You're going to learn some things about areas of the city that you didn't know. And if you're from out of the city, across the country, you're going to learn some stuff about Los Angeles, historical things that some things I was surprised to learn in other people's plays. And so I feel like you're going to get a diverse body, age, gender, ethnicity, and some really compelling characters. And within those characters and extending outward, stories that pull you in. Hey, this is Khari Wyatt, Playwright. And I just want you to come and support the Zip Code plays produced by Antaeus Theater Company, debuting on November 12th on various podcast systems, Spotify, Apple, and also on the Antaeus website. And you can hear slices of Los Angeles through myself and 5 other wonderful plays from 5 other playwrights who are based here in Los Angeles and doing theater here in Los Angeles. And we would love your support.